So thank you all for coming out today on this Saturday morning. We are here to speak out against the county's attempts to build a new incinerator here in Miami-Dade. We have a really ugly past with incineration going back to 1925 with Old Smoky, and as recent as last year with the 𝐸 incinerator burning down for weeks before they were able to put it out. And we just do not have the faith in our county to properly handle things. And instead of investing in a short-term solution with incineration, we want them to invest in long-term, real zero-waste solutions. And we've got some great speakers here today to speak about their message and their perspective on incineration and what a real zero-waste future looks like. So starting off, I want to introduce Dominique Burkhart from Earth Justice. Dominique.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Good morning, everyone. My name is Dominique Burkhart with Earth Justice. Thank you all for being here this morning to speak out against what would be the largest waste incinerator in the United States, right here in Miami-Dade County. This morning, on behalf of 28 organizations committed to social, environmental, and climate justice, I sent a letter to the commissioners in the mayor's office calling on them to reject the creation of sacrifice zones and accept that there is no suitable location in Miami for a new incinerator. In our letter, we call out the double standard that has permeated the site selection process from the very beginning, of applying one set of standards to rule out certain locations while disregarding those same standards when it comes to places like 𝐸, where the incinerator site sits right next to residential zoning. From Old Smoky and Coconut Grove to the North and South Dade landfills, we call on the county to stop placing waste facilities in Black and brown communities and instead invest in a sustainable future that phases out reliance on incineration. Thank you. And next up, we have Caroline Lewis with the 𝐃𝐨𝐧'𝐭 Institute.
Caroline. Thank you very much. Miami-Dade, we have a problem. I know Mayor 𝐈𝐧𝐬𝐺𝐸 well. I know many of the commissioners well. I know you're trying to solve the problem. I'm just letting you know, we're all letting you know, what you're coming up with is not the right solution.
No.
Yeah. We have to get waste management right, and we have to be a role model for everybody else in the nation and beyond. If zero waste is the plan, and that plan is already in progress, why are we building so big? When you build an incinerator of the size you're describing, there is zero incentive to do zero waste, because we could burn it all, couldn't we? And I tell you, the technology has improved waste to energy incinerators, but they're not improved enough. They're still inefficient, they still pollute, and they still cause harm. I believe our residents will embrace waste reduction. I believe that we have to factor in educating our citizens to do better and to stop being the most waste-creating county in the world.
Yes.
At the 𝐃𝐨𝐽 Institute, everybody is a climate leader. We believe that you heed the alarming science, that you know climate, heat, health, food and water vulnerability, sea level rise are real. You understand that justice issues are upon us. We need community at the table. So 𝐃𝐨𝐽 is at the forefront, waking up these sleeping giants, and we want the county commission and the mayor to be giants, to fight the fight, to stop spending all this money on designing a state-of-the-art incinerator and spend that money educating us about how to reduce our waste, how to compost more, and how to make sure we aren't just creating trash that must be burnt. We can do this. We are role models. Here's to the right solutions. Thank you.
Next, we have a representative from the Florida Coalition for Climate Action.
Well, good morning. I'm Carol Lindsay. I'm a family nurse practitioner representing Florida Clinicians for Climate Action. And we're very concerned about the air pollution, the toxic waste that will be in the air if we have an incinerator, and the health impacts that could happen from this. So we're asking the county commissioners and the mayor to consider what is the healthiest solution, the most helpful solution about trying not to burn anything. So this is what we're very, very concerned about the health impact, and we hope that the county commissioner and the mayor makes the right decision on this, the healthiest decision. Thank you.
Don't incinerate! Iterate! Don't incinerate! Iterate! Right!
All right, next up we have Mike Ewall from the Energy Justice Network.
Let's go, Mike.
Thank you, Marcella. So hi, everyone. My name is Mike 𝐃𝐨𝐧'𝐿. I'm the founder and executive director of Energy Justice Network. We're a national group based in Philadelphia, where I live surrounded by the largest cluster of trash incinerators in the nation, including the largest of them. Since 1999, we've stopped dozens of incinerators across the country, including multiple 4,000-ton per day waste incinerators, so this wouldn't be the first. And at the end of this year, we'll see the closing of the last incinerator in Oregon, thanks to a law I helped our member groups write and again get passed there last year. I also developed the zero waste hierarchy, which is used as an international standard for what zero waste means, and it's clear in the definition in the hierarchy that incineration is not included. It is not part of zero waste. There are no new incinerators that have been built at a new site in this country since 1995. There's one at the existing site in West Palm Beach, but none at a new place like they're trying to do here. This is not about to be the first, and we're not going to let that happen. But there are 7 proposals for new or expanding trash incinerators in Florida. Right now, this is more than the rest of the country is seeing combined. So this is a big priority for us to make sure this industry is crushed in its crib here in Florida. I've done the life cycle analyses and documented that incineration is worse than landfilling on health, on climate, on environment, and on environmental justice. The environmental racism associated with this industry is something that I've documented first and have documented more recently in terms of what's going on right now, and especially in Florida. And the environmental racism situation here is disgusting, what is going on, what they're talking about with Doral, or even the other states that they were considering. Landfilling out of the county is the most just option, is the least bad option. No one likes landfilling. We're not fans of landfills, but landfilling is the lesser evil, and there are no good places in the county to try to be doing that. And so we need to be comfortable with saying, yes, there are better options. Okeechobee is the best of them. I've analyzed this extensively, and we need to be using that while we work on filling landfills as slowly as possible with good zero waste policies. Thank you.
Right. What is our goal?
Thank you, Mike.
Zero waste. When do we start? Now. What is our goal? Zero waste. When do we start?
Now! All right, next we have Maria Claudia from 𝐃𝐨𝐧𝐭 Miami.
Thank you, everyone. Good morning. I wanted to speak to my personal experience. So my family moved to Doral in 2003. So to me, Doral isn't just a proposed site on a map. It's where my family has lived for the past 20-something years. It's where my grandparents garden in the morning. It's where my cousins go to elementary school. It's where my mom takes evening walks. And the Doral fire in 2023 was a big wake-up call for a lot of us. It released toxic pollutants and chemical contaminants into our community. And our families won't know the long-term health impacts of this incinerator for years to come, likely. We have no reason to believe this new incinerator, which is set to be the largest in the United States, will be safer for our families. Old Smoky's remodel was also advertised as a state-of-the-art facility, which promised to be odorless and smokeless. In reality, it continued to poison the community and has continued to devastate families for decades. No community should have to endure years of odor, pollution impacts, and the inevitable health disparities that come with living near a waste incinerator. By siting an incinerator, the county is not simply burdening a community. They're choosing to sacrifice its residents. We need our commissioners to lead with vision and not convenience. Thank you.
Yes.
I say don't incinerate. You say innovate. I say don't incinerate. You say innovate. 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 Innovate.
All right, next Next up, we have Besa Bui from the Society of the Flora, Fauna, and Friend.
Good morning, everyone. I'm a community pastor and Buddhist chaplain, and this is a moral imperative. This moment in time, the rest of the nation is looking at what decision we make. We will not have our communities pitted against each other. This is how systems work. This is how we've been doing our work in the history of this nation. Therefore, I ask the commissioners, I know that you're wonderful human beings. I know it. I've seen some of the other things you've done. However, in this moment, we don't want this in anybody's yard. There is sufficient money, all right, for us to make better options for all people. Beings are not supposed to be in a hierarchy, all right? We must respect our animals, our elderly, our people with chronic illness, our children. Imagine if this was you. So this situation points out to the systemic inequality that has always existed in this nation. We are at ground zero, all right? If we don't do something now, we're gonna be underwater with floating garbage around us. I ask you right now to look into your personal ethics and to realize this is a moral imperative for you to make a good choice. Do not pit city against city. Thank you.
Hey, hey! Ho, ho! Incinerator has got to go! Hey, hey! Ho, ho! Incinerator has got to go!
All right, next up, we have Scott Polowitz from the Hold the Line Coalition.
Thank you for that introduction. My name is Scott Polowitz with the Hold the Line Coalition. We fight urban sprawl to promote affordability, smart growth, resiliency, and green space. It's frustrating living in Miami where we cannot seem to learn from our mistakes, where we build highways instead of transit, where we build luxury condos instead of affordable housing. Now we're going to spend a decade building $1 billion carbon-spewing toxic ash byproduct incinerator to burn our garbage because we are refusing to address the root of the problem, that we produce too much solid waste. Our leaders say that we need an incinerator because we don't have the landfill capacity to continue our disposable growth model. Instead, the capacity we lack are leaders that learn from our past mistakes and have the courage and vision to choose a different path forward. That's the choice we have in front of us. Do they have the capacity to do what's required for a less wasteful future? We have a choice. We have a solution. It's time to leave behind expensive, emitting 20th century technology and embrace zero waste infrastructure like reuse centers and composting facilities, which would be healthy, just, and sustainable solutions for all. Don't incinerate, innovate. Thank you.
Don't incinerate! Innovate! Don't incinerate! Innovate! Don't incinerate! Innovate! All right!
All right, next up I have Reynold Martin from Grace and a member of the West Grove community.
Good morning. I'm Reynold Martin with Grove Rights and Community Equity. I'm here to let you know that growing up in the Grove has been a nightmare. We're led to believe that illnesses are something that is supposed to happen. Cancers and respiratory problems, are things that naturally occur. But in the Grove, people are dying left and right, and they're still dying. Remediation has not been completed. They're still finding high levels of toxicity in Coconut Grove, and people are dying. Incineration is not the way to go. Innovation is the way to go. There are all kinds of ways to get rid of our garbage besides burning it. We got to find a better way. Thank you.
Thank you.
I say new incinerator. You say never.
All right, next up we have Noel Cleland with the Green Christians of Coral Gables Congregational.
All right. So as he said, I'm Noel Cleveland, here representing Coral Gables Congregation of the United Church of Christ, to remind us that we are all interconnected. We share the same air, we share the same water, and we share the same fate when decisions are made that damage our planet. Pitting one neighborhood against another goes against our spiritual teachings, and to add toxic emissions to minority communities flies in the face of climate justice. We need a waste solution that prioritizes efforts to reduce what gets sent to a landfill, including reduction in packaging, recycling, reusing, composting, mulching, recovery of construction debris, and education. Burning our trash may reduce the volume, but it creates a whole new set of problems to deal with. The bottom line is, we don't need a stinking incinerator anywhere.
You incinerator! Never! You incinerator! Never!
All right, next up, I'd like to introduce Michelle Drucker with the Miami-Dade County Council of PTA.
All right, take a good look at that. Hello, my name is Michelle Drucker. I am the environmental chair for the Miami-Dade County Council PTA, and we teach our children that this is not waste. This is a resource. This is material that comes out of our cafeterias with the trays that can be composted. Our school districts pays $5 million a year to send this waste to be burned or buried. Our county spends $5 million a year on fertilizer. Why don't they just help our schools turn this into compost, which, by the way, this is an example of cafeteria compost that we piloted, and make it a win-win, because 40% of what is in our landfill is food waste and yard waste. It is expensive to burn wet food. We can turn it into a reusable resource for our farms, and we can stop the 4 truckloads a day of toxic ash that will be coming out of these incinerators. Thank you.
Don't incinerate! You say innovate! Don't incinerate!
Innovate!
Innovate!
All right.
Innovate!
I'd like to introduce Silvio Pupo from the City of Miami Climate Resilience Committee next.
Woo! All right. What a beautiful day in Miami, right? So yes, I'm Silvio Pupo. I'm Miamian, born and raised. I'm an investment banker. Actually, a lot of you might not know that, but I am. And so I want to talk about and reinforce all the iterations here. I mean, as a Catholic, I think the church and the faith, I think, is really important. The Pope and the Laudato Si making a claim for people's values. And as everybody said, we really believe that everybody's meaning the best. But putting on my banker hat and in my role as the economics lead for the Climate Resilience Committee, I think we have a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity here. Waste to energy is wasting our wealth. Ladies and gentlemen, waste to energy incineration isn't just outdated, it's economically outrageous. The facts are fury. Incineration is the most expensive way to manage waste, costing up to $80 to $100 per ton, when recycling could be $50 per ton, or composting could be just $30 per ton, as we just heard Michelle Drucker mention. This is a big opportunity, but the true costs are lost opportunities. Zero waste isn't just a cultural challenge, which is a big challenge in Miami. It's an economic catalyst. Keep in mind that we just got the U.S. Economic Development Agency designation for the climate resilience tech hub of the country. We have a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to lead the way in creating new industries, thousands of jobs, and an innovative, circular, regenerative economy. Let's innovate, not incinerate. Why burn billions when we could build a better future? Let's turn waste into wealth, solutions, and sustainability. The time to lead is now. Circular solutions are a path to resilience, so please remember, don't incinerate, innovate.
Zero waste! When do we start? Now! What is our goal? Zero waste! When do we start? Now!
Next, I'd like to introduce Ken Russell with the City of Miami and with Sierra Club, Florida, formerly the City of Miami.
Thank you very much. Good morning. My name is Ken Russell, and as a former elected, I'm not used to chanting. I'm used to being chanted at. But I know how to speak to policymakers because I was one. And when Daniel 𝐃𝐨𝐧'𝐿𝐢𝐴 this week announced that they are no longer going to put the incinerator near the Everglades, maybe they thought that was an environmental win. But it's not the win that it sounds like. Because when we say don't burn garbage in the Everglades, we mean don't burn garbage at all. Don't burn it anywhere. And we're not alone. Part of my work with the Sierra Club has been working with multiple cities. Mayor Vince Lago from Coral Gables couldn't be here today, but his commission unanimously voted to support our efforts. Mayor Wayne Messam from Miramar couldn't be here today, but sends his regards and thanks us for our efforts. And this very week, the largest city in all of Miami-Dade County, the city of Miami, passed a unanimous resolution of their commission, stating that the city of Miami requests that the county pause the decision on the new waste-to-energy incinerator location to allow for a comprehensive evaluation of alternative waste management methods, including reduction, diversion, and municipal composting. And prior to making any decision regarding the location of a new waste-to-energy incinerator, the city urges the county to engage an expert in waste reduction strategies, waste diversion strategies, and alternative forms of waste management to incineration, and to follow the advice of that expert before making a decision. That's right. Thank you everyone for being here today. Thank you for supporting this cause, and make sure your policymakers know how you feel about burning garbage and our climate. Thank you.
Innovate!
Innovate! All right, so thank you everybody. That was our selection of speakers. I am going to open it up for questions from the press now. And I think one more chant before we really get going.
Don't incinerate!
Innovate!
Incineration has got to go!
Hey, hey, ho, ho! Incineration has got to go! Hey, hey, ho, ho! Incineration has got to go! Hey, hey! All right. All right. So, let's get into it. Any questions?
Thank you, everybody.
What should we do next?
Well, the county still has to vote on this. So December 3rd and December 4th, or rather December 4th is when they're going to be collecting to have a special meeting all about waste and to vote on the location of the site. We're going to be there, and whether or not they give us the option to comment, we're still going to make sure that they know that we're watching and keeping track of the decisions they make.
Can I make a Hey, excuse me. There's a CUDA board. There's a petition.
And we have a petition.
It's right there on the board.
I grew up near the trash mounds. I grew up near the trash mounds in Broward County. If you guys don't burn it, then is there going to be those trash mounds are going to be back open full steam?
Right. You're talking about the landfills?
Yeah, if you're not going to burn it, then because when I was growing up, it used to be really bad, with the smell, the birds and everything. Yeah. When they added the incinerator or whatever, it was not as much.
Yeah, that's a great question, and one of the things that distracts us from the end goal. They say, well, landfills are worse than incinerators. The thing is, if you can reduce your consumption, reduce your waste, then use all the diversionary tactics of recycling, composting, everything except burning. What's left for the landfill is not organic waste. That's all been taken out. So it no longer has the smell, no longer produces methane, and can be much, much smaller and less polluting. So there is a healthier version of a landfill than what you grew up with. But they're using that as a red herring to say, well, landfills are worse, we don't want to go back to that, so we're just going to burn it. But it's great because it makes energy. So there's all these red herrings that distract you, but there's nothing they can do to say that they are mitigating the carbon created, the greenhouse gases emitted from these incinerators. So there is a better landfill. Yes?
I just wanted to say that the birds eat food from certain places, so they're not bad to have around.
Oh, I just want to tell people real quick. For the folks that wanted to know what you could do next, there's a QR code on the poster over there, and it's sort of like a testimonial petition, and you can scan the QR code, put a photo, and just say whatever you want to say about why you don't want the incinerator.
Write to commissioners.
And you can write to your commissioners, call your commissioner's office, let them know we want real zero waste solutions, not more incinerators in the county. and that we're watching, and we're going to continue to watch them.
Hi, I'm 𝐃𝐨𝐧'𝐿 Burnaby. I'm a grandma and I'm old. And I want to say what we have in common, people of Miami, South Florida, is our love for children, our love for grandchildren. And we have to think about them. And I have grandchildren in California, and they close all their incinerators, and they have a compost bin. 60% of our trash can be composted. Did you know that? And it is the way to go. We have to think our life isn't long. We need to think about our love for our children and our grandchildren.
Right.
Thank you.
I just want to add one ask that every one of us needs to make of this county commission and the mayor. They need to invest some money in funding the education of the public,
Yes.
the engagement of the public, and the belief that we can reduce our waste. If we don't believe that we can reduce our waste, then we have to build bigger and bigger and bigger incinerators, and nobody wants that. So incentivize composting, incentivize reduce, reuse, recycle, all of the things we know will lower the amount that gets to the landfills, and then make it a much easier battle to fight. So stop talking about zero waste like it's something out there, and start funding the infrastructure needed for us to really get to zero waste over time.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right. So if there aren't any more questions or any other calls to action, I just want to ask everybody to, I guess, gather up in front so we can get a nice big group picture of everyone here.
Can I mention one more thing?
Yeah, sure.
I also wanted to let the group know one more concern. One of the reasons why we haven't had composting to scale is that there's an ordinance that prohibits any waste diversion that competes with the incinerator. Incineration and zero waste that currently are fundamentally incompatible with the county's own rules. So blaming the public for the amount of waste that we create is not fair. It's been a policy of the county that has prevented composting from scaling and recycling from competing with waste management in the incinerator. It's a policy problem, not a people problem.
Thank you.